The VEC Council had sent 17 rescue teams into the Frost Valley. 17 teams of their finest warriors, each equipped with thermal shields and plasma cutters designed to carve through the ice storms that turned the valley into a graveyard every winter cycle. None had returned with the cubs. Erin knew this because she had counted the memorial stones outside the council chamber. 17 obsidian markers, each representing a team that had ventured into the frozen hell to retrieve the alpha cubs, the future leaders of the VEC species who had been caught in an avalanche during their coming-of-age trial. "You cannot go," War Master Thranks had said, his scaled hide rippling with what Erin had learned to recognize as distress. "You are human. Your biology is not suited for cold." Erin had interrupted, pulling her worn jacket tighter. "War Master, my species walked out of an ice age. We didn't have plasma shields. We had fire and stubbornness." Now, standing at the mouth of the Frost Valley, Erin wondered if stubbornness would be enough. The wind cut through her thermal suit like it was made of paper, and she could already feel the beginnings of frostbite on her exposed cheeks. The VEC equipment had been modified for her smaller frame, but it wasn't designed for the peculiar vulnerabilities of human flesh. She checked her scanner one more time. 6 life signs clustered together approximately 3 kilometers into the valley. 6 cubs, probably huddled for warmth in whatever shelter they'd found. The avalanche had been 5 days ago. The VEC could survive longer without food than humans, but not indefinitely. Erin started walking. The ice storm hit within the first kilometer. The VEC teams had failed because they'd tried to fight it, pushing through with their shields at maximum power, draining their batteries in hours. Erin did something different. She found a ridge, carved out a shallow cave with her plasma cutter, and waited. The VEC didn't understand waiting. They were apex predators, built for speed and decisive action. Humans were persistence hunters, built for the long game. So Erin waited, rationing her power, eating her protein bars, and letting the storm rage around her shelter. 12 hours later, the storm passed. She found the first body at kilometer 2. A VEC warrior, frozen solid, his hand still gripping his weapon. Erin paused, whispered a prayer she'd learned from her grandmother, and kept moving. The dead didn't need her. The living did. The scanner showed the cubs were inside a collapsed ice cavern. Erin could see the problem immediately. The entrance was blocked by tons of frozen debris, and any attempt to blast through would risk bringing down the entire structure. The VEC teams had probably exhausted themselves trying to cut through, then died in the storms. Irene studied the cavern for an hour, walking its perimeter, tapping on ice walls, listening. Then she found it a small fissure, no wider than her shoulders. Too small for a VEC warrior, just right for a human. She tied off her safety line and squeezed through. The cubs were exactly where her scanner had predicted, huddled in a circle for warmth. They looked up at her with large, luminous eyes that showed too much white, the VEC equivalent of terror. They'd probably given up hope of rescue. "Hey there," Erin said softly, her translator converting the words into their language. "My name's Erin. I'm here to take you home." The largest cub, probably the alpha female, hissed weakly. "You are ... human. You are soft. Fragile." Erin looked down at her hands. The gloves were torn, and she could see her fingers, blue-purple with frostbite. Blood had frozen on her cheeks from where the wind had cut her face. She probably looked half dead. "Yeah," she agreed. "We're pretty fragile. But we're also really, really stubborn about not dying. Getting out was harder than getting in." The cubs were weak, malnourished, and the smallest one, a male with a broken foreleg, couldn't walk. Erin fashioned a carrier from her emergency blanket and her jacket, strapping the cub to her back. The others followed, moving slowly. Another storm hit at kilometer 4. Erin found shelter again, this time a natural formation. She huddled the cubs together, wrapped them in her thermal blanket, and gave them her remaining food. The alpha female watched her with those 2 intelligent eyes. "You are injured," the cub observed. "Your digits. They are damaged." Erin looked at her blackened fingertips. 2 of them would probably need to be amputated. "I'll heal," she lied. "Why?" The cub asked. "Why risk yourself for us?" "We are not your pack." Erin was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, though it cracked her frozen lips. "On Earth, we have a saying, it takes a village to raise a child. You know what I've learned, traveling the galaxy? The village is bigger than we thought. A lot bigger." The storm passed. Erin led them out. The Vet Council was waiting at the valley entrance. War Master Thranx's hide rippled with such intensity that Aaron thought he might be having a seizure. Then she realized he was crying the Vec equivalent, at least. "You brought them all back," he breathed. "Every single cub. Alive." Aaron swayed on her feet, exhaustion finally catching up with her. "That was the job," she said simply. As the medical team rushed forward to treat her frostbite and hypothermia, the alpha female cub pushed through the crowd. She looked up at Aaron with those luminous eyes no longer showing fear. "You are not soft," the cub said. "You are not fragile. You are human. And that means something different now." Aaron smiled as the world went black. When she woke 3 days later, missing 2 fingers but otherwise intact, she found her room filled with gifts from Vec families. But the one she treasured most was simple, a small stone carved with human and Vec words. "The village is bigger than we thought,"